The galaxy was a vast place, full of stars, planets, and many different kinds of beings. For thousands of years, the Galactic Council ruled over everything. They were powerful and controlled much of the galaxy. They made the rules, decided who could trade with whom, and controlled the way everyone lived. Most beings in the galaxy feared them, and for good reason. Their fleets were massive, their weapons powerful, and their reach was endless. But there was one species they could never control: humanity. Earth had been a small, quiet planet for a long time. At first, the Galactic Council thought humans would never matter, that they would always be a weak species. But over time, Earth began to grow. Their technology advanced, their military power grew, and their alliances became stronger. They started building warships, and these ships were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. In the early years of human progress, Earth formed an alliance with the Vinter, a peaceful and highly intelligent species. The Vinter were known for their advanced technology, their ability to create powerful energy shields, and their wisdom. Together, the humans and Vinter made a strong team, one that the Galactic Council could not ignore. While the Vinter focused on diplomacy and trade, humans focused on building a military fleet that could protect the Alliance from any threats. The Council was watching. They didn't like what they saw. They couldn't control the humans or the Vinter. The humans, with their fast-learning minds and their ability to adapt to new technology, were a growing threat. The Vinter, with their advanced shields and weapons, were a powerful ally for humanity. Together, they were becoming more and more difficult to stop. So, the Galactic Council made a decision. They decided to destroy the Vinter. They would wipe out the entire species, sending a message to the rest of the galaxy that no one could stand against them. The attack came without warning. The Vinter homeworld, a peaceful planet known for its beautiful forests and large oceans, was attacked by the Council's fleet. The humans had no idea it was coming. They had no warning. The Council sent a massive fleet, thousands of ships, to the Vinter homeworld. The ships were armed with the most powerful weapons in the galaxy. They rained down fire on the peaceful planet, turning it into rubble. The humans, who had built a strong bond with the Vinter, were devastated. Earth's leaders were in shock. It didn't make sense. The Vinter had been friends, allies, and partners for years. The destruction was swift, and there was nothing the humans could do to stop it. When the news reached Earth, it was like a punch to the gut. The humans had never experienced a tragedy like this. Their allies, their friends, were gone. The Vinter were wiped from existence in a matter of hours. The planet they had called home was nothing but a smoldering ruin. At first, the leaders of Earth didn't know how to respond. The Galactic Council was too powerful. Their fleets were too large. The humans had their own warships, but they were not nearly as big or as powerful as the ones used by the Council. It seemed like there was no way to fight back. The pain of losing the Vinter was too fresh, and the fear of the Council's power was overwhelming. But there were those in the human military who refused to back down. There were those who believed that if they didn't act, the Council would continue to destroy anyone who stood against them. The humans could not let this attack go unanswered. It was not just about vengeance, it was about standing up to the tyranny of the Galactic Council. Admiral Samuel Parker, a highly respected leader in the United Earth Command, was one of the first to speak out. He was known for his calm and strategic mind, but the loss of the Vinter hit him hard. He was close to many of their leaders. He knew them personally, and now they were gone, destroyed by the very council that claimed to protect the galaxy. Admiral Parker stood before a room full of human leaders, military officers, and scientists. They were all looking to him for guidance. "We cannot let this pass," he said, his voice steady but filled with anger. "The Galactic Council has crossed a line. We will make them pay for what they have done. We will take action, and we will not stop until they understand that humanity is not to be underestimated." His words struck a chord with everyone in the room. For the first time, they knew what had to be done. The humans would avenge the Vinter, not with empty threats, but with action. It was time to show the Council that Earth was not weak and that no one Not even the Galactic Council was above retribution. The United Earth Command UEC was activated, and the order was given to mobilize Earth's warships. These ships were the best humanity had to offer. They were equipped with advanced cloaking devices, energy shields that rivaled the Vinters, and weapons capable of destroying entire fleets in a single strike. But even these warships were not enough to go directly against the Council's power. The humans would have to be smart, strategic, and precise. Admiral Parker's plan was simple: attack the Council's weakest points first. They would strike fast, hit hard, and make sure the Council knew that humanity would not be silenced. The first target was a small Council-controlled outpost near the edge of known space. It was lightly defended, and the humans believed it was the perfect place to begin their campaign. The fleet assembled, and the humans boarded their ships, ready for battle. Their hearts were heavy with the memory of the Vinter, but they were also filled with a fierce determination. They would make the Council pay. As the fleet moved into position, Admiral Parker gave the final command: prepare for battle. Let the galaxy know that humanity will no longer stand by while our allies are destroyed. The human warships moved silently through the darkness of space, cloaked and ready for action. The Council would never see them coming. But despite the darkness and the silence, the humans knew this was only the beginning. The fight ahead would be long, difficult, and costly. But it was a fight they would never back down from. They had lost their friends, their allies, but they had not lost their will. And soon, the galaxy would know that Earth's warships were a force to be reckoned with. The news of the Vinter's destruction spread quickly across Earth. Every corner of the planet felt the loss. Humans were not a species that typically showed their emotions. But the loss of the Vinter stirred something deep inside them: the pain of losing a friend, an ally, a species they had trusted, was too much to bear. But from that pain, a new determination began to form. Admiral Samuel Parker knew the road ahead would be hard. The Council was powerful, and their fleet had already proven how fast and ruthless they could be. But humanity was not the same as it had been before. The humans had learned, they had adapted, and they had made sure that when the time came, they would not be caught off guard. For years, the human military had quietly worked on developing new technologies, warships, and strategies that no one had known about. These were not just any ships. These were warships designed to fight the impossible. They were equipped with the best technology Earth could offer: shields that could withstand the harshest attacks, weapons that could cut through enemy fleets with precision, and cloaking devices so advanced that the ships could disappear entirely from enemy sensors. The United Earth Command UEC had kept these ships hidden, waiting for a time when they might be needed. And now, that time had come. The fleet gathered in Earth's orbit, ready to depart for the first strike. The warships were massive, their metal hulls glinting under the light of the distant stars. These ships weren't built for show, they were built for war. Each ship was a marvel of human ingenuity, designed not only to survive but to dominate. Admiral Parker stood on the command deck of the largest ship, the Vengeance. It was a massive vessel, its sleek design contrasted by the immense power it contained. He looked out at the fleet, knowing that this battle would set the tone for everything to come. The humans had only one goal now: vengeance. But in achieving that, they would show the galaxy that humanity was no longer the underdog. They had become something far more dangerous. "We're ready, Admiral," Commander Julie Lawson said, standing beside him. She was a trusted officer, her calm demeanor a steady presence in the midst of the tension. "The fleet is primed. All ships are on standby." Admiral Parker nodded. "Then it's time. Prepare for the first strike." The plan was simple: start small and hit fast. They would target a minor Council outpost, one that was strategically placed near the edge of the Council's controlled space. The outpost wasn't heavily guarded, and it would serve as a warning to the Council. It would show them that the humans were not just another species to be ignored. They were now a force to be reckoned with. The ships moved quietly through the vastness of space, cloaked and hidden from the enemy. The humans had learned a valuable lesson from the destruction of the Vinter. Never make the same mistake twice. They would strike first, before the Council had a chance to strike back. The journey to the outpost was slow but steady. Every crew member on every ship was focused, their eyes trained on the mission. For many of them, this was personal. They had lost friends, family members, allies, and now they were going to make sure that the Council would pay dot as the fleet neared the target. Admiral Parker gave the order. Uncloak the ships. Prepare for immediate attack. With that command, the human warships turned visible, their sleek forms appearing from the darkness of space. The Council's outpost was in sight, a small, unassuming base built on a rocky planet. It was heavily defended, but nothing compared to the full might of the human fleet. The humans didn't waste any time. They moved swiftly, hitting the outpost with a barrage of missiles and energy blasts. The Council had no idea what was coming. Their defenses were no match for the precision and power of the human warships. Explosions lit up the sky and the outposts. Shields flickered before failing entirely. In just a matter of minutes, the base was in ruins. The humans didn't stop there. They sent ground forces to secure the area, ensuring that there were no survivors to carry back news of the attack. The mission was a success, but it was just the beginning. The humans knew that this attack would send a message to the Council, but it was not enough. The galaxy needed to see that humanity had become something else, something no one could ignore. Back on Earth, the people watched the news in awe. The attack on the Council's outpost was broadcast across the planet. It wasn't just the speed of the attack that shocked people, it was the power. The humans had taken down a Council base with ease, and as the news spread, the galaxy took notice. The first step had been taken. Humanity was no longer a passive species, waiting to be destroyed. They were now an active force in the galaxy, a species willing to fight for what they believed in. No matter the cost, Admiral Parker knew that the Council would not take this lightly. They would retaliate. They would send their fleets after the humans. But the Admiral was prepared. The humans had already shown they could fight, and they would continue to fight until the Council was brought to its knees. This is just the beginning, Admiral Parker said as he watched the broadcast of their victory. The Council will learn. They will understand that humanity will not be pushed around. Commander Lawson, standing next to him, nodded. We've sent our message, but we can't stop here. We need to keep pushing. Parker turned to her. And we will. We will make sure that the Council knows exactly what they've done. And when we're finished, the galaxy will never forget that humanity stood tall in the face of destruction. The warships began to return to Earth, but they would not remain idle for long. The Council had made its move, and now the humans would make theirs. Earth's warships were not just tools of destruction, they were symbols. They were symbols of the strength, the courage, and the resolve of a species that had been underestimated for too long. And now, the galaxy would know that humans were not to be taken lightly. The fight for vengeance had begun. The humans were no longer just a part of the galaxy, they were a force in it. And the Galactic Council was about to learn the hard way just how dangerous Earth could be. The attack on the outpost sent shockwaves across the galaxy. It wasn't just that the humans had struck, it was how swiftly and decisively they had done it. The Council, which had always maintained its grip on power, now found itself staring down an unexpected force, humanity, back on Earth. The news of the successful strike was met with a mixture of pride and anticipation. The people had been waiting for this moment. They had known, deep down, that humanity was more than capable of defending itself. But now, with one swift move, the world saw just how dangerous Earth's warships could be. Earth was no longer the helpless species it had once been. In the depths of the Galactic Council, the reaction was far different. They had expected resistance. They had expected defiance. But nothing could prepare them for the full force of Earth's response. The destruction of the Vinter, the humans' former allies, had been a calculated move. The Council believed it would break humanity's spirit, that it would send a message of their dominance. But they had miscalculated. The Council's meeting hall was cold and sterile. The long table where the councilors sat cast in dim light. The leaders of the galaxy, each representing a different species, all with their own agendas, gathered to discuss the humans' sudden rise. They were concerned, but some were also frightened. We underestimated them," said High Counselor Therix, a tall being from a race of powerful telepaths. His deep voice echoed through the hall as he addressed the others. "Humanity is more than we thought. Their technology, their warships, they are unlike anything we've ever seen." "Yes," agreed Counselor Valora, a sleek, reptilian diplomat from the planet Zorth. "We made a terrible mistake. The humans have not only the power to strike, but the resolve. They are not afraid of us." Counselor Therix's brow furrowed. "We can no longer afford to ignore them. If we do, they will only grow stronger. They are no longer a threat we can dismiss." The room fell silent as the counselors exchanged looks. They were at a crossroads. Some of them saw the human strike as an isolated event, something they could dismiss as a wartime act of defiance. Others were beginning to realize that humanity had the potential to reshape the entire galaxy's power structure. "The humans will come for us," said Counselor Zarnuk, an armored being from the warlike species of Sthur. "They have tasted victory, and they will want more. They are no longer the weak species we once believed them to be." A murmur of agreement spread through the room. The council could no longer pretend that the humans were insignificant. They had just shown the galaxy that they could strike with force, and they would not hesitate to do it again. The question was no longer if the humans would attack again, but when and how much damage they could do. "We must strike back," Counselor Valora said sharply. "We can't allow Earth to challenge us like this. The galaxy needs to see that we will not be pushed around. The humans have to be made an example of." There was a tense silence in the room. The counselors exchanged glances, considering their options. The last thing they wanted was to provoke a full-scale war with Earth. But the council's pride would not allow them to back down. "We have to eliminate their power," said Therix. "If we can destroy their warships, we can break their resolve. Their fleet is dangerous, but we are far superior in numbers. We must act before they grow too powerful." The decision was made. The Galactic Council would not sit idle. They would send a fleet to Earth, one that would show the humans just how outmatched they truly were. It would be a decisive strike, one that would break the human spirit and reassert the Council's dominance. Meanwhile, on Earth, Admiral Samuel Parker was already preparing for the next move. The human fleet had returned to their home planet, but the work was far from over. The strike on the outpost had been a success, but it had also sent a message. The Council would not forget what had happened. They would retaliate, and the humans had to be ready. "We can't let our guard down," Admiral Parker said to his officers, standing before a map of the galaxy that illuminated the dark room. His voice was steady, but there was a tension in the air. "The Council will come for us. We need to be ready for whatever they throw at us." Commander Julie Lawson, who had become one of his most trusted officers, nodded. "We're ready. We've trained for this. We have the technology, the ships, and the resolve to face anything the Council sends our way." The humans were no longer the passive species they had once been. They had awakened a new strength within themselves, and it was a strength the Council had not anticipated. It wasn't just about the ships or the weapons, it was about the humans' willingness to fight, to stand up for what they believed in. As the news of the Council's planned retaliation reached Earth, the people began to prepare. Every corner of the planet felt the weight of what was coming. The air was thick with anticipation, but there was also a sense of unity, something that had been lacking before. Earth was no longer divided by its differences. The Council had forced humanity to unite, and in doing so, they had created a force far greater than they realized. Admiral Parker addressed the world. His voice broadcast to every citizen on Earth. "The Galactic Council believes we are weak. They think that by destroying our allies, they can break us. But we are not broken. We are stronger than ever. We will fight for what is right, for the Vinter, and for every species that believes in freedom. The time has come to show the galaxy that humanity is not to be underestimated." His words resonated with people across Earth. They were no longer just citizens of different nations. They were humans, united in a cause. The Council had made a grave mistake, and they would soon learn that humanity was not to be taken lightly. The fleet began to assemble once again. This time, there was no fear in the hearts of the men and women who climbed aboard the warships. They were ready. They had no choice but to be ready. The Council had started this war. But now humanity would finish it. As the fleet moved into position, Admiral Parker and his officers stood together, knowing that the outcome of this conflict would shape the future of the galaxy. The humans had made their move, and now they were about to find out just how far they could go. The galaxy was watching. The Council was preparing for war. But humanity, once seen as weak and insignificant, was about to show them just how wrong they had been. The tension in the galaxy had reached its peak. The Galactic Council, which had ruled with an iron fist for so long, had made its move. After humanity's daring attack on their outpost, the Council had no choice but to retaliate. They could not afford to let Earth's defiance go unanswered. On Earth, the human fleet was ready. Every warship had been carefully prepared. Every soldier had trained for this moment. The message was clear: this would be the final confrontation. It wasn't just about vengeance anymore. It was about showing the galaxy that humanity was no longer the weak species it had once been. The humans were a force to be reckoned with, and they were ready to prove it. Admiral Samuel Parker stood on the command deck of the Vengeance, his flagship. He watched the stars outside the viewports, his mind focused on the battle that was coming. The Council had sent their fleet to Earth's doorstep, and the humans would be ready. "We've tracked their movements," said Commander Julie Lawson, standing beside him. "They've gathered everything they have. It's going to be a massive battle." Admiral Parker nodded. "We've trained for this. We know what to expect, but we can't underestimate them. They may have numbers, but we have speed, strategy, and the resolve to win. Do you think they'll try to make an example of Earth?" Lawson asked. "They already have," Parker replied. "But they made a mistake when they attacked the Vinter. Now, they'll learn that humanity will not fall easily. We will fight for every inch of this galaxy if we have to." The two of them stood in silence for a moment, the weight of the situation pressing down on them. They had been through a lot, but this would be the test. This was the battle that would determine the future of humanity. The human fleet, though smaller in number, compared to the Council's, was powerful. Each warship was equipped with advanced cloaking technology, energy shields stronger than anything the Council had, and weapons capable of tearing through enemy ships with precision. The human fleet had been built for this very moment, to strike when the time was right, and to make sure the enemy would never forget the cost of underestimating humanity. The Council's fleet approached Earth, its massive ships filling the viewports of the Vengeance. They were formidable, each one a symbol of the Council's power, but the humans weren't intimidated. They had faced bigger challenges before, and they had always come out on top. This time would be no different. "We have to strike first," Parker said, turning to Lawson. "We can't let them take the first move. Their fleet is too powerful if they get a chance to organize." Lawson nodded in agreement. "I'll give the order." The fleet moved into position, each ship cloaked and ready for action. The moment the first Council ship entered range, the humans launched their attack. It was swift, calculated, and ruthless. The first wave of missiles struck the enemy ships, tearing through their shields and causing massive explosions. The Council had no time to react. Before the second wave hit, their ships began to break apart as the humans showed no mercy. The battle raged on, the stars above Earth turning into a battleground. Explosions lit up the sky as the humans' warships continued their assault. Despite the Council's numerical advantage, they were quickly realizing that humanity's warships were more than a match for their fleet. Admiral Parker watched from the command deck as the battle unfolded. His heart raced, but his mind was focused. Every decision mattered. Every move had to be calculated. The Council's ships were powerful, but they were not built for speed. The humans had the advantage of agility and advanced weaponry. It was a battle of strategy, and Parker knew that his forces had the upper hand. "Prepare the next wave," Parker ordered. "We need to push them back before they can regroup." As the human fleet launched another round of missiles, one of the Council's largest ships, a heavily armed battleship, emerged from the chaos. It was larger than anything the humans had faced before, its dark hull glinting with dangerous energy. "We've got a problem," Lawson said, her voice tense. "That battleship is the heart of their fleet. If we don't take it down, the Council will regroup and fight back harder. Parker didn't hesitate. Target the battleship's engines. Take it out, and the rest will follow. The humans' warships focused their fire on the battleship, their weapons piercing its shields with precision. The massive ship began to falter, its engines smoking as the human fleet relentlessly attacked. With each strike, the Council's defenses weakened, and the battleship's massive guns fell silent. But even as the Council's fleet was being broken apart, they weren't giving up. The remaining ships fought back with everything they had, launching volleys of missiles in retaliation. The battle was fierce, but the humans refused to back down. "We're taking heavy damage," Lawson reported, her voice strained as the ship shook from incoming fire. "But we're still holding strong. We can't stop now." Admiral Parker's voice was calm as he gave his orders. "Keep pushing. We have to finish this." The final moments of the battle were intense. The Council's fleet, once so powerful, was now in disarray. Their ships were scattered, their command structure collapsing. The humans, though suffering some losses, had shown that they could not be defeated so easily. With one final strike, the human fleet destroyed the remaining ships, and the Council's once feared forces were no more. The battlefield was silent, the stars slowly returning to their peaceful state. The humans had won. The Galactic Council's power had been shattered, and humanity had shown the galaxy that it was no longer a species to be underestimated. As the humans began to return to Earth, Admiral Parker looked out at the stars. He had led his people through the most difficult battle of their history, and they had emerged victorious. It wasn't just about revenge for the Vinter. It was about proving that humanity had a place in the galaxy. It was about showing the galaxy that Earth would never be bullied again. "This is just the beginning," Parker said, turning to Lawson. "We've made our mark, but there's still a long road ahead. The galaxy will never forget what happened." "Here today," Lawson nodded, "we've sent a message. The Council won't be the last to learn what humanity is capable of." As the fleet returned to Earth, the people of the planet celebrated. The humans had faced their greatest challenge and emerged victorious. They had proven their strength, their courage, and their resolve, and the galaxy would never be the same. The battle was over. The once mighty fleet of the Galactic Council lay in ruins, scattered across the vastness of space. What had once seemed impossible, humanity defeating one of the most powerful forces in the galaxy, had become a reality. The human fleet had shown the galaxy its might, and in doing so, had brought about a new chapter in the history of the stars. As the human warships slowly made their way back to Earth, the crew members stood in silence. They had fought hard, they had lost some of their own, but they had won. The galaxy would never forget the day humanity stood up to the Council and won. The pride and the relief were palpable, but so was the sadness. Many had lost friends, allies, and loved ones in the battle. Admiral Samuel Parker stood on the command deck of the Vengeance, his flagship. As Earth came into view, the sight of the blue planet filled him with a deep sense of both pride and sorrow. It was over. The Council had been defeated, but the price of victory had been high. His thoughts were with the Vinter, their allies, and all those who had fallen in the battle. "Admiral," Commander Julie Lawson said as she walked up beside him, "the fleet is heading back to Earth. The battle is won, but there's still a lot of work ahead." Parker nodded. "Yes, this is just the beginning. The Council might be defeated, but there are still many in the galaxy who will try to take advantage of the power vacuum. We need to be prepared for whatever comes next." "The people on Earth will want to celebrate," Lawson said. "They've been waiting for this victory. But you're right, we can't let our guard down." "I know," Parker replied. "We've proven ourselves, but we still have a long road ahead. The galaxy is vast, and many don't see us as equals yet. We've shown what we're capable of, but now we need to build relationships with other species. We need allies, not just in battle, but in peace." As the fleet entered Earth's orbit, the people below erupted into celebration. News of the victory had spread across the planet, and Earth's cities were filled with cheering crowds. People from all over the world came together to celebrate the triumph over the Galactic Council. The streets were filled with flags, banners, and smiles. Humanity had won. For the first time, they stood united and strong. The Council's defeat had not only been a victory for Earth, it had been a victory for all species who had suffered under the Council's rule. There were many in the galaxy who had lived in fear, oppressed by the Council's grip on power. Now, they saw that change was possible. The humans had shown them that standing up against tyranny could lead to success back on Earth. Leaders from around the world gathered in a united effort to create a new path for humanity. In the galaxy, the victory had proven that humanity could defend itself, but it also proved that they had to look beyond war. They had to create a peaceful future for all species. Admiral Parker stood before a group of world leaders, ready to address the people of Earth. The room was filled with dignitaries, scientists, and military officials, all eager to hear what the Admiral would say. This victory is not just for us, Parker began, his voice steady and strong. It is for all those who believed in freedom. It is for the Vinter, who fought beside us, and for every species who has suffered under the rule of the Galactic Council. We have shown that no one is too weak to stand up for what is right. He paused, letting his words sink in. The room was silent, all eyes on him. But he continued, "This victory is not the end. We have proven that we can win a battle, but the true challenge lies in building a future. We cannot let the same mistakes happen again. We must make sure that the galaxy is a place of peace, a place where no species is oppressed." The leaders in the room nodded in agreement. The victory over the Council had shown them that humanity had the strength to lead, but it also showed them the responsibility they now held. The galaxy was looking to Earth to take the next steps. "We will not allow power to corrupt us," Parker said, his voice firm. "We will form new alliances, strengthen the bonds of peace, and work to ensure that no one suffers as the Vinter did. This is our responsibility now, and we will rise to meet it." The room erupted into applause, but Parker could feel the weight of the task ahead. Victory had come at a cost, and the road to a new era would not be easy. The galaxy had watched humanity's rise, and now they would watch to see if humanity could maintain its strength, not just in war, but in peace. In the months that followed, Earth began to establish new alliances. The defeat of the Galactic Council had opened doors for dialogue with other species. Some species, who had once feared the humans, now saw them as a powerful and reliable ally. Others, who had been oppressed by the Council, reached out to Earth for support. Humanity had become a symbol of hope in the galaxy. They had shown that no matter how small or weak a species seemed, they could rise up and defend themselves. The victory over the Council had changed everything. The galaxy was no longer a place where the strong rule with an iron fist. It was a place where peace was possible, where the voices of the many could be heard. Admiral Parker, though proud of what humanity had accomplished, knew that the journey was far from over. There would always be challenges ahead. There would always be those who sought power at the expense of others. But for the first time in history, humanity stood as a beacon of hope for the galaxy. They had shown that strength could be used for good, and that no species was truly alone. As he stood on the command deck of the Vengeance once again, watching Earth below, Parker knew that their victory had been just the beginning. The galaxy had changed, and humanity had claimed its place among the stars. But as the humans looked toward the future, they knew one thing for certain: they would face whatever came next, together. No matter the obstacles, no matter the challenges, humanity would stand strong, and the galaxy would never forget the day when the humans rose up and changed the stars forever.